So now we're going to discuss the Marillions, the final tribe that was introduced in Chaotic prior to its cancellation. And the Marillions, they entered the scene later in the game, but with a huge bang. An entire story point was made around them breaking into the world of Perim and then attempting to take over. And so I'm going to go over their physiology, their societal structure, and there's not a lot to them. They're very simple and very straightforward, so I think it's going to be easy to explain. So on top, you have Ani. He is the Marillion in charge. You can see the three different forms that he had taken throughout his invasion of Perim. There was his projection, the psychic one. There's his main body, and then there's the advanced form he evolved into to fight Maxor and Kaor at the climactic end of the world kind of fight. He is so powerful that his mind is the one that is used to take over the bodies of the creatures of Perim, and his chieftains sort of act as conduits for his power. The chieftains themselves still have formidable power, but they are ultimately at the beck and call of Ani. And then just below the chieftains, you have the fluid morphers. They are the intelligence officers. They're the mages, the muges. They can convert water itself into music. And while this process requires much more music counters to conduct proper music, they can easily just build up enough music just by constantly shaping water into their magical designs. And then just below those are the big enforcers, the coral warriors, often taking the forms of large crustaceans. They are the bulwark of the army. They are the ones who protect the chieftains and the fluid morphers. They are going to pretty much crush anything that gets in their way, and they also have unique ties to special battle gear. And then below them, the fodder for the army, which unfortunately is the corrupted and tainted versions of the creatures of Perim. Their minds have been taken over by Ani and the chieftains, and they become these brainwashed alter egos that just live and serve the Marillion army. So, for chieftains, they are often much larger in size and scale, but not to an insane degree. They all share an affinity for deep sea creatures and appearances. You can see many tentacles. You can see their bodies are made of various glowing slimes. And the interesting fact about the chieftains, and I think this covers all Marillions as well, is that they can survive in any form of liquid, whether it's water, lava, acid. They can live in it and they thrive in it, and that's the scary part. Is what do you do against a creature that just benefits from there being liquid in the area? So their main goal was to flood the world of Perim. That was the main goal. They were going to melt the ice caps with a powerful weapon and just flood it all. But they don't mind lava. They don't mind the acid of skeletal springs. They made footholds in these places, and they pretty much serve as, again, the conduit for Ani. They collect minions, they establish the footholds. And just a funny side note, I think it's really hilarious. Ehun Kalin was told, hey, go to Ropasak, it's called the ocean with no water. And he literally had to go out of his way to flood it because it was a desert. Next we have fluid morphers, and again, they create music by manipulating water. They require an insane amount of music to do anything, more so than most other muges, but the ease at which they can make those music counters compared to every other creature on Perim is unparalleled. They are often very thin, tentacle-based creatures, more like worms, eels, many tendrils along with them, and they are more geared towards intelligence than anything else. That is their role. They are they're inquisitors. They are spy masters. They are there to get information and provide it to the Marillion army. Next, we have the Coral Warriors. The Coral Warriors, again, are the big bulwark of the army, and they have a unique interaction because a creature by the name of Barakatan, he is the one who created these coral shards. And prior to the existence of the Secrets of the Lost City or Fire and Stone, these coral shards were the only ways to reliably give your creature an element, and it can only be given to the Marillions and the minions. It is insane how good this battle gear was on these Coral Warriors. In fact, it is from Barakatan's flavor text about Ani being overconfident that he was going to win. He had every right to be, because these creatures gained so much power and elemental acuity from these shards that they were nigh unstoppable. They were... Just look how gigantic Roldoy is compared to the Danians. He was a force to be reckoned with, and he's just one of the many Coral Warriors that existed. So, again, physiology-wise, they are primarily crustaceans. I don't think there's a single one that doesn't have a chitinous shell of some kind. And from there, that is the main physiology of the general Marillions. And now, let's discuss the roles of their minions. So the minions are the unfortunate souls who did not have willpower strong enough to overcome the mental affluence of the chieftains or Ani. They succumb to this psychic attack, and then they are completely at their beck and call. And the strange thing that happens is when a creature succumbs to this mind control, often their abilities are changed to counteract their former allies. If you look at Razmadarini, he negates all invisibility, very powerful. Arban, if a creature becomes uninfected, you deactivate Hive. You know, that it's countering what these tribes' strengths are for the most sense, and pretty much putting the chieftains at the advantage. So, in a typical build of a Marillion army, you have your minions up front, you have a Fluid Morpher, a Coral Warrior, and then the chieftain way in the back. That's a very basic build, but that is a successful army according to the Marillions. It is very, you send the fodder out first, and then you get your big guys there in the back to wrap things up at the end. And then a Baka fun fact. I was doing research, and I had no idea that the Danians had successfully assimilated a Marillion. I guess all bets are off on who can become a Danian if they are infected with a Danian parasite, but I just thought that was a really cool thing. I had no idea. I never got this guy from the Secrets of the Lost City, so I didn't know he even existed.